Thank you for staying with us here on THV 11 Plus. For Arkansas News Now, I'm Ashley King with meteorologist Simone Thomas. And all right, getting ready for the weekend. It has been an interesting week.
I know a lot of people are going stir crazy. You know, I was one of them. The few days I had off between like the winter weather coverage and then things winding down, it's not too many places you can go. I think a few more places are opening up, but a lot of neighborhoods still having a tough time getting through, which right now with all of the sunshine, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's good to see the sunshine. Beautiful view there too.
Beautiful view. You still see a lot of snow covered ground that we have to try to get out of here. I think it's going to be hard to get all of that out of here through the weekend. So as you kick off next week, you might still be dealing with some of that. And in fact, you can still see some of that snowpack on your visible satellite. Now the clouds, you see the clouds moving, but that's still white. That is some of the snow and ice that is still across portions of the state. I think it's most prominent to our east between Little Rock, Stuttgart, and that part of the state. But temperatures right now generally above freezing, which is good for the melting along with that sunshine. Those clouds are looking to move further south into central Arkansas this evening. Through the rest of the afternoon and evening, we'll continue to see that elevated cloud cover. But if you're looking to hit the roads this weekend, still going to be dealing with concern on your main highways, your side streets, and your county back roads. Likely going to see patches of snow and slush, if not fully snow covered through next week, because temperatures are going to be too cool to support any major melting this weekend. That's why our weather impact alert will continue through Sunday. Now, I'll have full details on what the weekend looks like in a preview to next week in that 7-day outlook, so make sure you stick around.
Thank you, Simone. And while some people are continuing to fight through the snow and ice by digging out the best that they can, ice-covered streets are leaving some in North Little Rock unable to break free. Just take a look at these shots captured just off Camp Robinson Road. Even though Camp Robinson itself is mostly clear, it's the side streets that are still covered with snow and ice, causing more frustrations among neighbors.
I don't know if they normally do or not, but the trucks haven't been through the neighborhoods at all, at least from what I know off here from Camp Robinson.
If they could do something with the roads or something that we could, kind of move around, then it would be great. I mean, because getting out the neighborhood, that's the hardest part.
Most of the neighborhood streets our crews saw today are like that, although there are some places, especially higher up, where some melting has taken place. The city of North Little Rock tells us cars parked on the street make it harder to plow. They're asking people to move those vehicles to make it easier. Many across Arkansas are still stuck in their homes trying to find a way out, while others have had enough, hiring plow operators to clear a path. You can imagine plowing pavement is a lucrative business right now, but not as easy as it seems. THV 11's Catherine Rowley talks with a Saline County man who's repurposed his tools to plow parking lots.
When Joe Valdez fires up his equipment, it's not typically for plowing snow and ice. But when winter weather hits Arkansas, his focus turns to clearing snow and sleet. This storm, however, made clearing parking lots and roads more difficult than in previous years.
Last year was snow. This year was all ice, and it was difficult. It really was. No matter what, there's a layer of ice underneath there. But until you get that blanket off, it's not going to thaw, so that's what we're doing, and it is tough.
Because of the layers of ice, Valdez says there's limitations to what plowing can do.
Very stubborn. You will tear a machine up doing it, or the customer's parking lot.
Until temperatures rise and the ice on streets starts to melt, there may be only one safe place for those who can't get out of their homes.
Yeah. Those areas, it would just take time, unless the cities or counties can get out there. But it's just it's a big workload for everybody. I'd stay home if you could.
In Saline County, Catherine Rowley, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Catherine. And other news, with 1 month until the primary election, a new Republican challenger will face U.S. Senator Tom Cotton on the ballot. Jeb Little is a state trooper and says he's mounting a conservative challenge to the two-term incumbent. Little says Arkansas is being overlooked in Washington and is calling for greater transparency and accountability. A spokesman for Senator Cotton highlighted his conservative record, endorsements from President Trump and Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and military funding delivered to Arkansas. Remember, the GOP primary is closed this year, meaning only registered Republicans can vote in this race. Journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lehman was arrested in L.A. last night in response to an anti-immigration and customs enforcement protest at a church in Minneapolis earlier this month. Lehman was covering the incident, which showed protesters rushing into the church, interrupting a service. Lehman claimed in a video posted online saying, quote, "I'm just here photographing. I'm a journalist." But Justice Department officials say Lehman had no right to be on church property, adding the disruption may have interfered with worshipers' religious rights. And a strange twist in the murder case of Luigi Mangione, as a man was arrested and charged with trying to break him out of jail. Authorities say the suspect went to the New York City jail where Mangione is being held, posing as an FBI agent. Elaine Cuano has more.
Police say they foiled a plot to break Luigi Mangione out of a federal jail in New York City. 36-year-old Mark Anderson of Minnesota has been charged for allegedly impersonating a federal officer. According to court documents, on Wednesday night, Anderson approached uniformed officers in the lobby of the jail, claiming he was an FBI agent in possession of paperwork signed by a judge, authorizing the release of a specific inmate. A federal law enforcement source tells CBS News that inmate was Mangione. When asked for federal credentials, police say Anderson showed officers his Minnesota driver's license and claimed he was in possession of weapons, which turned out to be this large barbecue fork and round steel blade.
The fact that this individual went to such great lengths, I think, does speak to sort of this larger movement behind Mangione.
Mangione has attracted a loyal following, with many gathering outside the courthouse before his hearings. Mangione is accused of gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He was arrested in December of 2024 at a Pennsylvania McDonald's and has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
We're waiting on really the two most critical pieces of information. One, whether or not the feds can continue to pursue the death penalty. And two, whether or not that evidence that was obtained on Luigi Mangione's person and in his backpack when he was arrested initially can come into play in this trial.
Sources say there's no indication Mangione knew of plans to break him out of jail. For now, jury selection is set for September 8th. Elaine Quijano, CBS News, New York.
The Justice Department says it's completed its review of records related to their Jeffrey Epstein probe and is releasing the remaining documents. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the documents include more than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images from the investigation into the accused sex trafficker. Blanche said they will be released throughout the day. And President Trump says he is nominating Kevin Warsh to replace Jerome Powell as Federal Reserve Chair. Trump made the announcement on social media today. Powell's term ends in May. Warsh is a former inflation hawk who now favors lower interest rates, according to a number of public statements he's made in recent months. He's also called for overhauling the central bank's workforce. The Senate Banking Committee will consider Warsh's nomination through a public hearing. After that, the Senate chamber will vote on whether or not to confirm him. Home Depot has announced it cut 800 Atlanta-based corporate jobs. The cuts mainly affected remote roles in the store's support center. The home improvement company said affected employees will get separation packages, transitional benefits, and job placement support. The company also announced all its corporate employees will need to return to the office 5 days a week starting in April. And this one's for the coffee lovers. Starbucks just unveiled its Reimagine Rewards loyalty program. This time around, it will consist of 3 levels. Points are solely based on payment type and will enable members to accelerate their rewards as their activity grows. And donut maker Shipley's Donuts is bringing back its heart-shaped treats just in time for Valentine's Day. Best known for making fresh handmade pastries, will have a trio heart-shaped donuts, and there are 3 flavors: strawberry, cherry, and chocolate. Each one will have sprinkles added as well. Now, through Valentine's Day, you can buy a donut starting at just $1.49, as a dozen will cost $13.49. Changes are coming to air travel involving your ID. What you need to know if you plan to catch a flight without a real version. That's still ahead on Arkansas News Now.
And our weather impact alert will continue through this weekend because the forecast is going to support continued hazardous road conditions. Full details are coming up right after this break. Hello again, and thanks for sticking around. The past couple of days, we've been able to do a lot of melting thanks to temperatures getting into the 40s and mainly sunny skies. As we head into the weekend, though, things start to change. We're not going to get as warm, and then we're going to start to see increased cloud cover, which is going to limit some of the melting we're able to do from the sun. That's thanks to a cold front, which at this point is well off to our southeast, draped through portions of Alabama and Georgia, as you see to the right-hand side of your screen across the state. Behind that front, we have this northerly wind that is bringing in some colder, drier air. That's also what's helping us keep wind chill values, or feels like temperatures, a little bit cooler than the actual temperature, because that breeze is making it harder for you to keep any warmth. We do have a few clouds across northwestern and northern portions of the state. More of those clouds looking to move further south through the weekend, which, as I mentioned a second ago, is going to keep down our chance for any significant melting through the weekend. As we continue through this afternoon, maybe warming up a few more degrees, but you see those feels like temperatures in the light blue significantly cooler, getting up to 37 in the capital city, but still feeling like we're below freezing this afternoon. Some of our neighbors to the south that get into the 40s will still feel like the 30s, and some of our neighbors to the north still feeling like the 20s and the teens this afternoon. If you think that's cold, well, overnight things get even colder. Temperatures dip into the teens, feels like temperatures closing in on 0 degrees or even in the negatives. We could feel like 4 below 0 waking up in Harrison in the morning, or Mountain Home feeling like 2 below 0. That's why we have that cold weather advisory in effect for your overnight hours, because feels like temperatures could get as low as 10 below 0 between midnight and noon tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow afternoon, excuse me. So when you're waking up with me and Tamer in the morning, we'll be talking more about that cold weather and what it means for your weekend. But I'll tell you now, even tomorrow afternoon, once that advisory expires, a lot of us likely not getting above freezing. Highs tomorrow looking to peak in the upper 20s. Now Sunday we may be able to get a little bit warmer, but really won't get back into the 40s until next week. We'll stay dry luckily through this weekend, so it doesn't look like we'll add any more wintry weather to the mix, but more opportunities for rain picking up across the middle part of next week, where we could see some rain showers, but we have several days to get there, and until we can see some melting of the snow and ice we have now, we'll continue to see worsening drought conditions. This is actually the update that came out yesterday, so it does not account for all of this water that is right now frozen on the ground. We have portions of central Arkansas and northeastern Arkansas under extreme, which is the red, or exceptional drought, which is that maroon color. So really trying to get some progress with that wherever we can pick up some rain. But again, we won't see that for several days. Right now, the big story is the cold and what that means for your travel. We'll continue to be talking about black ice in the mornings and slippery roads, even in the afternoons, especially on tomorrow, with temperatures staying below freezing. That high again tomorrow looking to be in the upper 20s, but we start the morning in the low teens, where it's probably even going to feel colder than that. Sunday morning, another very cold morning, but warming up in the afternoon to at least the middle 30s. Then we'll see more of the 40s as we head into next week, with some light opportunities for rain around the middle part of the week, and then more sunshine as we get ready to close out the week.
Thank you, Simone. And if you're flying this weekend, you might want to check your driver's license first. Starting Sunday, if you don't have one of those real ID licenses or a passport, it will cost you extra to get on the plane. About 150,000 people each day go to TSA checkpoints without a compliant real ID. CBS's Chris Van Cleve shares what you need to know.
When Raquel Washington flew to Las Vegas for her birthday in November, the New Jersey resident didn't have a real ID when she got to TSA.
They made it pretty easy for us to come through without our real ID, I think they just scan our fingerprints pretty much just to determine who we are.
But the next time she flies, she may have to pay the TSA $45 as part of the agency's new TSA Confirm ID program launching Sunday. Passengers with non-compliant forms of identification must go to a TSA website, sign up, and pay the fee before they can access security. But that fee is only good for 10 days.
If I don't have a real ID and I don't pay this fee, will I be turned away at the checkpoint?
You could be in risk of not making your flight.
TSA Executive Administrator for Security Operations, Steve Lawrence.
Why is it necessary to charge somebody $45 for this?
Absolutely. We want to make sure that the system is modernized. We want to make sure that we're covering down on the latest technology. We're also ensuring that in this situation, this cost is not bared by the taxpayers. This cost is bared by the individual that doesn't have a real ID compliant driver's license.
New signage with a QR code is going up at airport checkpoints. Flyers can pay on the spot at the airport if necessary. After years of delays, the TSA began requiring flyers to show a real ID, typically a driver's license with a star like this, or other approved forms of identification like a passport, military, or tribal ID last May.
94% of flyers have a compliant ID. TSA says they shouldn't see anything different. But for folks that have paid this fee, they advise allotting 15 to 30 minutes to get through security, more if you're going to do it at the airport on the spot. This is a clear effort to push people to get their real IDs as soon as possible. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
Artificial intelligence supported mammograms pick up more cancers and reduce the rate of breast cancer diagnosis by 12% in the years after the screening. That's according to new research published in The Lancet involving over 100,000 Swedish women. Researchers found that AI-supported screening detected more relevant cancers without a higher rate of false positives. Deadly heart attacks are common in the first month after a surgery, but a new Swiss study found that many deaths could be prevented if patients see a cardiologist after surgery. Researchers say patients who did see a cardiologist were 35% less likely to die within a year of surgery and 46% less likely to suffer serious heart problems. How an elderly person drives could help identify warning signs of dementia. A study by the Barrow Neurological Institute found people over 65 who take fewer trips, drive less, or make more errors while driving were more likely to have changes in the brain linked to cognitive decline and dementia. The study's author says monitoring driving behavior could help identify cognitive problems earlier. Well, I know people are so ready to get out this weekend. We've been stuck indoors and the cabin fever is hitting. And we've seen some melting.
Yeah, we've seen some melting. All of the main roads and highways are clear. It's just those back roads, your country roads, your neighborhoods. A lot of the neighborhoods are still very ice packed. And through the weekend, we're going to have a hard time seeing any more significant melting because the cloud cover is increasing. Tomorrow, we're likely not getting above freezing. Sunday morning, a very frigid morning, but we get above freezing. I think by Monday, though, with highs in the upper 40s and some sunshine, that's going to be another good day for us to get rid of some of this.
Yeah, that's great to hear because the kids want to go back to school. I don't know if the kids do, but the parents want them to go back on Monday. Thank you for joining us.